So the last video I made, um, I want to clarify some things, right? Like, there's really no point talking about this because once you disagree with progressives, you're an all bad enemy, right? But I find it really strange how if you say something basically logical, that there are no non-left leaning, non-binary people, therefore the conception of gender nonconformity as non-binary is in of itself political, meaning um, people without those political beliefs would not conceptualize who they are as a non-binary person and would not want to use they them pronouns. But this is very different from binary transgenderism, where you see binary transgender people of all different political origins. You can see them in different cultures. The non-binary phenomenon is, at least the concept of even they them, is so American in the sense there's a lot of languages where everything is gendered. Like they don't have a concept of neuter, right? And when you say this, like, not only is this not the same thing as binary transgenderism, but I understand where you're coming from. You wanna promote the idea all gender expressions are welcome and validated. But much in the way progs were conned by the monopoly man to support defunding mental health care, thinking it's promoting freedom and lack of oppression, it actually did the opposite. Like it actually led, because in a callous country, in a callous world, if you're going to defund long-term care for schizophrenic people, the result is there's going to be just schizophrenic people in the street who need help. And there's no long-term care. And the idea that every single person with schizophrenia can be stable on medication and function in the community is not true. Have you ever been to a state psych ward? Not even like a hospital, like, but like the state psych ward. Like, there are people who are so sick that even with medication, they're never logical, right? Not even minimally. Like, they can't fill out paperwork, they can't take advantage of these social supports. Like, they need somebody to help them a lot, right? And what happens when you pretend that's not true? They just become homeless, and the average age of a schizophrenic person dying is now 40. Cartoon PFPs calling me schizophrenic need not apply. Like, we all know I'm sane. We all know you targeted me. We all know this is true, right? And it's like, I find it so hilarious when they call me schizophrenic. Like, I'm obviously evidently logical. I'm well groomed. I don't show any signs of a thought disorder like neologisms, thought insertion, thought deletion, tangentiality, like where I'll say something and then just trail off and start saying something else. Like, I have no signs of a thought disorder. None. The only thing I'm saying is this. Just like you can see with your own eyes, the billionaires, to the large mass of flyover state white chuds, are scapegoating Hispanic people, making them think they're criminals, so they can expand the ICE apparatus to eventually be a sort of billionaire secret police force. They are also doing the same thing to minorities, in the sense they're running scapegoat cults that are psychologically fascist, where they target random white people and call them Nazis in secret. And they rape them and kill them and jail them. But it's the same, it serves the same function as of MAGA, as in eroding liberalism, getting masses of the bottom of society to engender the idea that we should have authoritarianism, kings. It serves the same function. It functions a little differently in the sense, in MAGA, they target Hispanics, and in this cult created by literally Google and the CIA, they target anyone white who they can shoehorn into the role of a Nazi enemy, whether it fits or not, doesn't matter. Just like when MAGA and ICE are targeting Hispanics, they post hoc call them criminals, and then when it's not true, they look at their parking tickets and everything they can to make it true, right? As hard as to believe as that is, you can see with your own eyes they're doing it in broad daylight for the large group of white people that are in America. America is 55% Caucasian, and most of them live in these dinky redneck states. The coastal states are very much more diverse with fewer white people. And the reason MAGA is structured, the public face of MAGA is structured to be Christian and white, but still psychologically fascist, is that's what they need to do to sell authoritarianism to the chuds, the large mass of flyover state chuds, to destroy them in the country. But count on this. In secret, they're doing the same thing to these people in pockets who don't fit MAGA. It's the same thing. It serves the same purpose of making them want authoritarianism, making them think it works for them, making them think they're special, and they're getting uplifted. They'll be cradled into the future on a billionaire's arms. They're also going to be screwed, but they don't know that because right now they're getting their rent paid and stuff. As hard as that is to believe, if you don't know what's going on with me, you can see with your own eyes what I'm saying is happening to other people. So what is the odds that it couldn't be happening to me too? And the thing is, when they targeted me, none of it was happening. Biden was in office. It was the peak of the post-COVID. We're so angry about lockdowns. We're going to project this on cops wave. Um, but I knew as soon as I knew, because at first I didn't know why this was happening to me. But when I realized, like, oh, I was targeted by Google, and I knew what was going on. I knew that they were going to turn the country in 2024. So far, everything I predicted has been right. So, um, yeah, like I went off target a little bit. Like, see, that's not mentally ill tangent. My train of thought is consistent. A mentally ill tangent would be like, this is really fluffy. Oh my God, look at this. Aliens are green. Like, that's the kind of tangents you have with a thought disorder where, like, you can't complete a thought. You just literally, like, you'll say something and drift off to something else. That's a sign of a thought disorder. Yeah, so like I'm saying, like, it wouldn't be the first time prog supported something with good intentions and it was actually like a really bad idea. That's kind of how I see non-binary. I get where they're coming from. They want to make a world where it's like, no matter how you express yourself, it's fine and we accept you. That's good. The spirit of it is right. It's just the way they're going about it is not right. Just like the spirit, like we want mentally ill people to have more rights and not be oppressed. That's great. But you're neglecting the reality they are different. And some of these people, many of them, have a severe illness that prevents them from navigating society alone. So even if you make a shit ton of outpatient supports, they can't do anything. Like they can't take advantage of it without a family member or power of attorney or something. And the end result is it would the promoting the idea of closing long-term care was always to normalize it's okay if schizophrenics die in the street. And that's just now the case. Like you just see them in the street. Like you see severely mentally ill people in the street. And because there is no long-term care, they often go to jail. Like they'll make a scene and go to jail. They try to pretend I'm mentally ill. I'm not. I have anxiety from being raped, and being attacked. But the kind of scenes mentally ill people make is they'll stand in one place screaming and fighting with voices, and they will not leave. Like in America, you can scream, but you can't disturb the peace. So if you walk by and scream and keep walking, that's fine. Like it's not a crime. It's America. You have freedom. If you stand in front of a store being like, the demons are in my head, the demons are in my, and you do that like over and over, then you get arrested for disturbing peace. And that's the reason they go to jail. Because their symptoms end up breaking laws. Like, yeah. So anyway, I was mentioning this because it's like just like progs in the 80s had good intentions when they were supporting deinstitutionalization, the outcome was not good. And it's the same thing I think with they have a goal of encouraging acceptance of all different gender expressions. So identifying non-conforming people as non-binary is a way of validating it as real. But I feel like when you say non-binary is transgenderism, given the amount of ignorance, just like when you say schizophrenics can be completely self-sufficient, given the amount of evil in our society and Reagan in office, when you set that standard, they're just like everybody else. When that's not true, they're not. They have a disease that requires special help, and you don't provide those provisions. You just take away the long-term care, but you don't provide the provisions to do better than that. The result will be that people are talking themselves in the street dying, getting attacked, and going to jail when there's nothing there for them. And that's what happened. And in a similar way, when progs are like non-binary is a way of validating gender nonconformity that's not quite binary transgenderism, but it's just as real. It's like it is just as real, but you're not thinking this true. You're not thinking it through when there's so much ignorance in the world. Like literally, I can go down to the mosque, and if I asked a bunch of people there and I was like, what do you think of gay people? They'd probably be like, that's haram, that's against my. I know they would. I took a job in a psych ward, and literally the entire room was like, I'm Muslim. I don't support that. They were trying to make me look like a transphobe when I'm not. And they had the director ask them, if you have a patient who has different pronouns, what do you? They're like, I'm not doing it. That's against my religion. That's the reality of Muslims, Christians, a lot of Jews, like religious people literally think being gay is a choice and a sin. You can find progressive religious people, but you won't find them in numbers in a religious place. You just won't. So in a world where that's the baseline, and you're setting a standard because you're only thinking about yourself and your friends and shit, where like, oh, I don't want to be a woman, but like I just like dressing like a woman. Like I like dressing feminine, and I feel like masculine. I feel feminine. I have all this energy in me, and I want to be called they them, and I'm non-binary, and I'm trans. Like that doesn't apply to the general world. And instead, what you're going to do is you're going to set a standard rather than like, oh, you're just like trans people. You're going to set a standard. Trans people are not anything. You have good intentions, but they're misguided. You could disagree with me. I don't care. This is another thing progs will do. Like if you disagree with this, they'll accuse you of trying to erase their life, stop them from being who they are. Like, what? It'd be like if I said spirituality is something that exists across human time and culture. There are spiritual practices in every culture, but what they believe is different. So, like, the tendency to spirituality in one group might lead them to worship a rain god. And in another group, they think of the universe as a divine entity. And in another group, they worship Yahweh. I don't think any of these practices are particularly right, but they're all expressions of the same thing, which is human spirituality. Imagine if, like, Buddhists came at me like, you're trying to erase me. You don't want me to practice Buddhism. You're invalidating me. That's what progs do when you talk about this. And it's like gender nonconformity exists across time and space and culture. But the idea of a non-binary person with they them pronouns is very American, specifically a left-wing American. It doesn't exist in other because other languages don't even have the concept of gender neuter. Everything's male or female, tables and chairs. And the idea that you would process your gender nonconformity as being neither and wanting to be called a neuter pronoun and called non-binary is very culturally specific and American leftist and English speaking leftist. And the same thing can exist even in the same place, America, but change the politics and they don't feel a need to refer to themselves as neuter or non-binary, but they have the same feeling of being both male and female energy wise. It doesn't mean I want you to stop what you're doing. Just like me saying, like, I don't think Yahweh's the one true God, but spirituality is consistent amongst human groups across time and space. It doesn't mean I'm trying to like kill Jews or erase Jews or prevent you from being a Jew or going to temple with people who agree with that and making them your friends. Like, go ahead. I just don't think Yahweh is the one true God. I don't think Allah is the one true God, but you can do whatever you want to do. But when you say this about this issue, immediately they will be like, you're trying to kill me. It's like, I'm not. I'm just trying to get you to see a side you haven't thought of. And if it's really the best way to go, yeah, that's all.